Hello everyone, this is Christian Mel at Exciton Interactive, and we're finally getting to the point where we're not just adding and updating information, we're actually going to make use of that information, or start anyway. So here at the end of this video, what we'll have is we'll be on our home page. We'll finally get rid of the old default home page that came when we created the project. And what we're displaying right now is a select for the different plans. We're going to add a second plan while we're at it. And we're also then displaying all of the securities that are contained within all of the accounts, so that in the future here we'll be able to add buttons that will allow us to adjust the number of shares so that we can balance out these securities with the percentages that come from the plans. But for now we're just going to be able to display that information in this video. Alright, so before we get started here, of course I'd say thank you for watching the video and for subscribing. And of course, if you're not a subscriber, I hope that you'll please consider subscribing. The first thing that we're going to do in this video is address an issue that we had in the previous video. That being, if we're in a plan here and I change, say, a % here, and I hit cancel, if I go back in, we'll see that that % is actually still the same, or it's what I changed it to. And so that's a problem. We don't, we don't want to save stuff that we're canceling. So to address that problem, what we're going to do is go into our portfolio category model. And before I forget to say it, we probably have this issue in several different places. So we would need to address that. And I'm not going to, because it would not be all that interesting to watch. We'll see what I do here. And of course, that could then be the pattern to deal with it in other places. First thing that I'm going to do is adjust how we're using our getters for getting a category in a plan in this case. So what I'm going to do is that if we try to access a plan and it's not set, we're just going to throw an error. Or if we not set a category, do the same thing for a plan here. So if the plan's not set, we'll just throw an error. So now our solution to our problem is going to be down here. We're going to create a new method. I call it clone. We're going to create a model, which is a new portfolio category model. Set the parts that we need to set. So we have a category ID, this category ID. We need the ID itself. We need the %, and we need the plan ID, this plan ID. Perfect. Now, before I forget, let's just return that. Now, we may have already set the plan and the category. If we have, what we'll do is we'll just check this. If the category is not equal to null, so the underlying field, if that's not equal to null, then we'll do the set category and this dot category. And we'll do the same thing for the plan. So if this dot underscore plan is not equal to null, then model dot set plan, this dot plan. Perfect. We're going to make use of that in our portfolio module here. And we have these getter here. Of course, the problem is that we're just looking in the store, finding the appropriate ones and sending them out, and that's the reason why if we adjust them, it's implicitly being saved. So instead of returning them, we're just going to, or instead of turning this one, we'll just use clone. And of course, if we want all of the categories, that uses this getter to set them all, so we'll be good to go there. And like I said, there's plenty of other places where we'd have to do something similar to make this work. Last thing that we're going to need to fix is sort of, we didn't know it before, but so I've named this thing portfolio categories. That's where we look through the state, find all of those categories, and pull them out. We iterate over each of those. If we want to update a category, what we've done is we've sent in a plan. It has a set of categories. So we look inside of the plan that was sent in to us. We find that category, and we've got it backwards. So instead of setting the percent to the category that's in the store, we're setting the store's percent to the plan. This is exactly backwards. So the store, the X percent, should be equal to the category percent. Let's go ahead and save that. Let that come up. So again, we'll change that to 40. Cancel. Go back in. Still it's 38. So let's make it 40. Got to go down by 2 for that one. Save it. And now it's 40 and 10. All right. So that little issue has now been corrected. What we're going to do is we want to start actually using this data for its intended purpose. So the first thing that I want to do is add another plan. We have just this one plan originally here. So let's do our portfolio initial state here. This is where we've created the plans. So we have one plan. Let's create another one. It's probably not totally right, the idea of the name of them, but whatever. So now we have two plans. What I'm going to do is adjust the name of the categories, models that we already had here. One for growth, one set. Now we have another set for our new plan. They simply differ by the percentages here. Well, of course, the appropriate IDs. So then let's just take those. We renamed those categories while they're complaining. So now we have full set of new categories. We do need to update the index for these things. So I shouldn't have put a fixed number in the first place. So we'll just use the appropriate lengths plus 1 to give us our index. Let's go ahead and save. And now we have two plans to start with. So let's go to home. Finally, the home will be something other than the default here. Oh, got the right thing. So let's just clear everything out to start with here. Clear that off. We'll have our hello world back here. For the moment, we do not need to inject anything. No component. Nothing there. We're going to get rid of our styling and save that. All right, so we've got our good hello world up there. Let's start doing some stuff here. So let's import from functions. We have a currency formatter in there. We're going to need a few things from the store itself. So let's bring in the account model. So we need to know the accounts, account security model. We will have the getter for accounts, our constant there, getter for portfolio plans, our getter decorator, and the portfolio plan model. All right, so now we've imported these things. Let's start using them. So let's go ahead and get a hold of all of our accounts. Getter accounts. So private, read only accounts. It'll be set for us. It'll be account model array. At getter portfolio plans. Need all of our plans here. Portfolio plan model array again. All right, so in order to use our currency formatter, we want to describe it on our class here. So read only currency is our currency formatter. Perfect. So what I'm going to do, what our plan is to have is a listing of all of the account securities. We can see their shares, and then we'll be able to see what account they belong to, and then we'll have buttons to increase or decrease the number of shares so we can balance things out. So what we'll do is create a private account securities for the moment, we're just going to put the type down here. We may change the type later on. So it's going to be an array, and it's kind of funky, an array of arrays. So we'll have a string and then the account security model. So basically, typically in this case, I'd use an object, and I'd have to look. I don't think that we can iterate over an object inside of the template, which is the reason why I'm creating this array of arrays. And we'll have a private selected plan, and that's a portfolio plan model, or null. We'll start off with null. So, of course, we'll be able to jump between growth or value. So we'll be able to change which plan we want, so we can figure out which percentage of particular securities we want. So let's put our mounted now. All right. So if this dot plans dot length, if that's greater than 0, of course greater than 0 because we have default information in there, but it's possible at the beginning there, or if you delete, I guess, plans, you could end up with none of them. So we'll say this dot selected plan for now. Maybe we'll figure out, or not maybe, if you were to, this would be something that you would persist, to some file and then read back in what plan was selected to begin with. But we'll start off this way. We'll say if this dot selected plan, and if that's equal to null, we'll just return. Okay, let's do some stuff here. So now we'll say const groups. So here's our object. That object will just have a indexer, a key of a string, which will return account security model array. So an empty object to start with. So we'll say this dot selected plan dot categories, and we'll for each over those categories. What we'll do then, so this dot accounts, so now we have all of the accounts. We'll for each over those. Reason being is we're going to want to set the account for each of these selected categories. All right, so let's say const filtered securities. Those are equal to y.securities. Let's do .filter. I'm climbing the alphabet here. So what we'll look for is, so we'll look inside of our y.security. So these are the securities within the account. We'll look for the actual security itself. We'll get the category ID. If that's equal to the category ID that we're looking for by going through the categories in our selected plan, then we'll grab that. We'll map that. No X's, it's already used. We'll map that to a new account security model. And in there, account ID, that's z.account ID, ID, z.ID, security, z.security, security ID. And so I'm using the idea that if we're going through, I've grabbed to use the getter for the accounts. The getter itself is making sure that all of these things like the security is already populated for us. And shares, z.shares. And we could put a way to set it. I've done it on the security here. I don't know why I haven't done it for the account. We could do it, but we have a, let's just account security dot account, and that's going to be, so apparently I have Hold on. Hold your horses. So let's take, let us take this part out. This is not what I intended to do. Oops-a-daisy. So instead of directly returning that, we're going to create it. It's probably off somewhere in my indentation. I'll fix here in a second. Now we have our account security. Let's set that account, and that's equal to the account that we're looking through, which is Y. And we return account security. Let's go ahead and save that. I guess my indentation's right. So now we have these filtered securities. Let's come out here and we'll say if. So if we look in our groups and we look for x dot category, we're going to say that we know that it's defined at the moment, which means that I could, if I don't do that, oh, I already said it. We fixed that part already. Never mind. So we have that category and abbreviation. Oops. So the abbreviation is the string key that we're going to use in the groups. So if that exists, then what we'll do is just say groups at that key category.abbreviation. So now that when we index into it, we get out the array. So let's push into that, use the spread operator, and just add in the filtered securities. Otherwise, it doesn't exist already. So x.category.abbreviation, that's equal to filtered securities. All right. So again, we just have put all of those account securities into groups using this object, which is, of course, the reason we're doing it is this sort of easy way of knowing whether that thing exists or not. But again, we're needing to convert this object into an array of arrays to use in our template. So let's do object.keys over the keys for the groups, for each on those. And then all we have to do is this account securities and push. When we push into that, an array. That array has a string value. The first position is a string value, which is the key. And we get the array out of that. And I wasn't expecting an error there. What's our problem? Did I mess up defining it? I did. So this was supposed to be an array of arrays, or another array inside there. All right, so let's go ahead and save that. Of course, we don't get to see anything yet. Let's come back up to our template here, and we'll say select. Although at the moment this isn't, it's not going to do anything to set it up, but we have a selected plan. So we'll create a select for that option side of there. So V4, and we look for plan in the plans. So that's all of the plans within our store. We're using a 4, so let's bind a key. And it will just be the plan ID. And let's bind the value, which is the plan itself. What do we want to display? The name. Let's go ahead and save that. So we have our select working with our two names of our plans. So that's good. Let's come down here and give us a, well, call it account securities. We might not use it now at the moment, but we'll use that later. Let's put a row in here. And we'll put a label. One will be a symbol. We'll have the account name, which is, of course, the reason why we needed to set the account. We'll have the shares, and we'll put the value of the security, its last value. So let's do another LI here, and V4, Count security array, because I'm running out of names for things. Count securities. Maybe that's not the best name for those, but oh well. So again, we'll bind a key. Like I said, we may return to it and change what's being stored in there, but for now, again, we're iterating over this array. Each child inside of that array is an array with two values. The first value is a unique string, so that's the key for our object. So we'll just use that string as the key here. So inside of there, let's make another UL, another LI, and this LI, v-4, and this one is an account security in, and we go back to our array again, except now it's the second value. And I see in the notes there that I forgot to put a key. vbind key AC, oops, I did T. Account security, this one now has an ID on it, I think, I hope. So let's put another row in here, and now we'll have a div, what we'll put out here. No, why do you keep doing that? Account security, we have a security which has the symbol on it. Div, account security, what else do we want? Oh, account, no, account.name. Account security.shares directly on it, and last but not least, our last, we have that currency that we put on there. It has a method on it called format, passing the account security, the security, and last. Save it and hope things don't blow up on us. So we've done some stuff. To get a better idea of the stuff, let's go down here to our styling. Again, we're going to import some things I've talked about previously that you don't necessarily need. So I think the thing that I'm going to do now will probably end up undoing here. But just for now, include some padding. 0.25. So that'll give us some padding on the outside. Adding that stuff for the first time. Let's refresh. So maybe I didn't need to refresh. I forgot to call it home. Home, please. So that gives us a little padding, push everything away from the border. Now we'll define a row. While I'm doing this, I'll mention here that I've really got into using things like a project called Tachyons, and I actually start using, I think, Tailwind. So I have to keep defining these. We'll just use some classes up there, and don't need to reinvent the wheel every time. It's a lot easier. And we'll put a row. We'll use display flex. Let's align the items in the center. Let's go ahead and say all of its immediate children, no matter what they are, typically a div. We'll just say flex1 on them. And now we have that done. So what we're looking at here, of course, are all of the securities contained in all of the accounts. It's of course possible to get a security in like this. So VBK, and so the same account or same security in two different accounts, which is expected. So I think that's going to do it for this video. So we've got a good start now. We're displaying. Again, the idea is going to be that we'll have buttons here that we can use to adjust the number of shares so that we can balance out percentages that go with these different plans. Of course, those will have to wait for in the next video and maybe a future video, but Until then, I will talk to you later. Thank you for taking the time to watch our video. I know that your time is valuable. If you liked the video, please subscribe to our channel and click the thumbs up button, as well as share the video with your friends. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please leave them in the comments section below. And once again, thank you, and I will talk to you in the next video.